Hey everyone, I'm Mary Beth McAndrews, and I am here today with Alex Henes and Matthew Merenda, both directors of the new found footage film Mind, Body, Spirit that just premiered at Chattanooga Film Festival. Hello, how are you?
We're
Great.
good. Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you. Yeah, thank you for having us.
I'm very excited. I'm a huge found footage person, so when I heard about this, I was so excited. And I wanted to first ask, why found footage? And I know that it's usually a budget thing, but I just love to hear from both of you, either of you, why found footage, if it wasn't more than just the budget.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of both the story we wanted to tell and budget. Um,
Yeah.
and a lot of you know, various considerations surrounding that. But Alex, if you want to talk about like kind of where the idea came from, and then we can
Yeah,
dive
so
Are you
this
guys
was
found footage fans? Like, are you guys found footage fans?
yeah,
yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay, cool. Sorry. I'm just
oh
curious.
yeah,
I love
definitely found footage fans, and it's been interesting seeing their reactions to the movie because I've always been a very hands-off found footage fan. I'm willing to just like ride with the movie wherever it goes,
Okay. Yeah.
and it's interesting. Found footage fans are very particular about the logistics and realities of what can
did
happen, what can't
did they
happen.
say did anyone say anything about in world music yet about your movie?
Um,
That hasn't come up,
that
but
has not
Okay.
come
people
up. No.
All right. Cool.
know,
Interesting. All right.
Yeah,
and people
Anyway.
have
some
had
people
issues
will.
with
Yeah.
the what the camera's doing and various things like that. And we were kind of like, we're fans of the genre, but I think we're also at this point where the genre has twisted itself in ways to try and justify all these like in universe decisions. And we were kind of like, let's not adhere so rigidly to it. Like, let's play by as
All
many
right.
rules as we can. But if we need to break some, like, if people are into it, great. If they're not, so be it.
Cool. Hell yeah. I love that. But let's back to where this idea came from. I got derailed. I love talking about found footage, but
Oh man,
hearing more
yeah.
about the idea for where this came from, especially a yoga influencer.
Yeah, so I think it weirdly is sort of like adjacent to a pandemic movie because it's a lot about
Mm-hmm.
isolation. It's a lot about how isolated you can get when you kind of get lost in the rabbit hole of a YouTube playlist, when you just kind of let your YouTube keep going and you're willing to just follow it wherever it goes. So I think the germ of the idea came from the pandemic. I was doing a lot of YouTube yoga, specifically yoga with Adrian, who's
Oh
like
my
kind of
God, me too. Yoga
yeah,
with Adrian was, I was one of those girlies too that was like, yoga with Adrian will get me through.
yeah, she really saved me for a long time there. And then like all things in the pandemic, you got like I got a little too familiar with her. I started to see her as like more of like a friend, and I was like, it's like, girl, you need to like stop singing and like get me out of this downward dog. Like, so it's like we had to like we still have this very like contentious relationship, me and her, through this screen. And I always found that really fascinating. Like I felt like I really had made a friend to the screen, and I felt like she was talking to me sometimes. And I think that's where the kind of found footage impetus came from. And then I think on the flip side, but my buddy Topher, who's credited as like a story writer on this, he I had gotten him addicted to yoga with Adrian, and he texted me one day and he was like, hey, check out this video, check out this timestamp on this video. And at one point the camera started to move and like reframe and readjust. And I was like, okay, everything I knew is a lie. There's someone else in the room with her. I thought she had set up the camera because usually it's just like one static shot.
Wait, you've ruined my life. I thought it was just her in the room.
No, no, there's someone else there filming her.
No, there's a ghost.
Isn't that freaky?
I wish it was a ghost. Oh my God. Wait,
Okay, so
whoa. That is
that,
wild.
that was kind of like the genesis of this whole thing. It's like what would be moving this? Does she even know? Because she doesn't acknowledge that someone's moving it. She's still doing her thing. And Topher was kind of just like, is this an idea for something? And Matt and I kind of just took it and ran with it, and sort of started bringing in other influences that we were really kind of vibing with at the time, especially in the middle of the pandemic, Host being one of them, and Bo Burnham's Inside being the other. Just two things that felt really of the format, and playing with format, and felt very pandemic and isolated, and it's a good glimpse into where our minds were for the majority of 2020 and 2021.
Oh yeah. Well, it also hits the millennial ennui really well, I feel like, of like trying to find yourself and trying to like figure out who you are and how hard that is. Just as someone who was probably around the same age as the character, like that hit too, in terms of that, like, I just want to find who I am. And it's like, what if who you are is a vessel for something else?
Yeah.
Doesn't that suck?
Yeah.
Yeah,
which is again,
it does
like,
kind of suck.
Oddly speaking to that millennial of it all, I feel like our generation is this sort of in-between generation in a lot of ways, where it's like we, you know, have gone through a lot in like since sort of graduating high school or college, and then like coming into our own and adulthood, and like we are this like transitory generation that is what Anya is, and she's just sort of used by other people and turned into something else.
Yeah.
Varasha is the ultimate boomer.
Boomer, everybody.
Write it down.
Well, I wanted to hear also more about like incorporating Slavic traditions into this, because I feel like in found footage we don't see a lot of like Slavic or discussion of like Slavic rituals or anything like that as like a kind of core of horror. So where did that influence come from for the film?
I think it came from it came from kind of like initially not wanting to do the both appropriating and stereotypical like traditional kind of yogic culture, which is more Eastern. And I think we were also like, you know, as two white dudes, we were like, let's like play a little bit more in our own ballpark. So we started looking into like Siberian stuff, like Germanic stuff, like all this kind of more like snowy European, like you know, Slavic kind of stuff. And we found all these sort of interesting things. And, you know, not to spoil anything in the movie, but like the decision we made was like, this isn't like one thing, like it's all drawn, like Varasha has actually stolen stuff from all these other things too. And so it became this sort of research blitz where we were kind of just like sending each other all these kinds of various things that we would find, and putting them in a blender a little bit and seeing, you know, making sure there was like a really earnest and solid foundation that Anya could get swept up by and be like, well, this is real and this is like my past and where I came from. And then it all starts to kind of erode and fall apart as she goes deeper and deeper. But we found like a lot of those things were things we hadn't seen before, and in interesting and creepy in like in an off-putting way that wasn't super overt, like the bread, like the candle bread, which is like meant as an offering to ancestors, and also for you to eat like in the afterlife. And like it like totally makes sense in that way, but when you see it in the movie and like the visual of it is so like weirdly unsettling and like almost a funny way. So a lot of it was coming from decisions like that, like how can we base things in reality but put a weird twist on them.
Cool. That's awesome. And I love that. It feels different. And like you said, it doesn't try to appropriate yoga stuff. And it does, you guys do address that a little bit of like, why is this white chick doing a yoga channel? And I just like that engagement, I think it's like not a big part of the movie, but it's important. And I think that's what makes it stand out. My other question was, Sarah J. Bartholomew is your star. And she's incredible. I mean, she's like almost the only person in the entire film. What was that like, directing her and like getting her into this mind of Anya and having her be almost the only person on camera the entire movie? Like that's got to be difficult both for her and then to direct through that too.
Yeah, I almost wish we had her here so she could describe her experience on this, but I think
no, it was so easy. It was so easy. What do you mean? Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
She's not going through every emotion possible. She's definitely fine.
Yeah.
No, she sleptwalked through the whole thing. No, she, you know, I think going into the audition process, I think what we knew we had on our hands was a role that's like sort of a gift and a curse, where it's like the gift is you get to do a one-woman show, like you own the movie. The curse is that you're going to have to, run the entire gamut of human emotion and also contort your body into all these horrible positions, which hopefully you can do physically, because that's also going to be required of you. So, when we set out to find our Anya, we were working non-union, non-SAG actors. So we were pulling, a lot of people from these databases, doing our own casting. And eventually we came upon Sarah, and something clicked for us immediately. And like, we really knew we had to find our perfect person. But, she brought this sort of energy to the role that was very kind of, she reminded me a lot of like Bjork. I was like, I never imagined Bjork for this. I imagined someone more like Adrian.
Wait, that's so funny.
I imagine someone who's very, like Lululemon looking. And Sarah brought this really, really interesting energy to the role. And throughout the audition process, which was all over Zoom, which is another sort of fun little like meta part of this movie that takes place on Zoom quite a bit. She proceeded to scream and have these demonic possessions and do all these crazy things, and then that kind of translated almost perfectly into the role. And on set, I mean, she was just the ultimate professional. She could do anything. She brought a lot of great ideas to us. She improvised a lot of like those little moments that I think make the movie like sing like they do. And her and Maddie Brady, who's also as Kenzie, who's also just fantastic. I mean, they've become our good friends, and they're just lovely. So really proud.
Yeah, I think we tailored a lot, like to what Alex said. Like, we had initially conceived Anya as someone a little bit more like somewhere between Anya and Kenzie. And when we cast Sarah, we're like, we should rethink the character a little bit. And Sarah brought so much to it. And it was really just like an embarrassment of riches, because we never had, I could count on one hand the number of takes that like we couldn't use because of an actor like issue. It was like every single take was good, and it was just like, which great take do we pick? Which was both challenging but also so like great, and we're so lucky that they were the most professional like end game for any challenge we could throw at them.
And so, something that I think I neglected to mention about Sarah is that she has this sort of quality to her that when we were going into the audition process, I think something we wanted was something very much like Jane Levy in the Evil Dead remake, which is a person who, can transform across the movie in this like really natural way and be endearing up front and be absolutely horrifying on the back end. Like they can make that transformation sort of seamlessly. And it's almost till when it's too late that you realize that they kind of were scary the whole time.
Yeah.
And I just think she just does such a masterful job of carrying that arc across the movie.
She's really good at like seeming a little bit unhinged at the beginning, but you're like, I feel that way all the time. Like, I totally get it. And then it gets even more, and you're like, oh no, wait, it's so easy for the unhingedness to like descend into chaos.
There's
yeah,
this weird back and forth with her that we talked a lot about, and it's like her likability versus her like, how much are you like with her and on her side, and how much are you like, you are so stupid and you deserve everything that's coming to you. And what's fun is it plays to both of those. I think the movie, you could watch the movie and be like, what an idiot the whole time. Like, I can't wait to see her kind of get hers. And you could be like, I felt these things. Like, I feel these ways, not in the same way, but like I felt this at some point in my life. And you identify at least up to a point. And I think it's cool that she does both of those things at the same time. And I think that's really a testament to her skills.
I also want to shout out the really masterfully added in ad breaks that you put in throughout this movie that like I legitimately at one point I was like, forgot I was watching it online for the festival. I was like, why is there an ad? I don't understand why there's an ad. And there's another ad that's really well placed at the end where I was like, wait, this is so smart. Like, I loved how you guys wrote in the ads to make it feel like YouTube, and the ads felt like really produced ads. So it's so cool to go from like the found footagey kind of her filming it to these well produced ads. Like, what an incredible addition. Like, how did those come about in terms of part of the script? Were they always there, or was that something that came in later? I'd love to hear about that.
We they weren't there initially, but we added them pretty early on.
Okay.
And Alex and I actually have a movie marketing background. I'm a trailer editor and he's a copywriter. And our friend Topher also works in marketing as a graphic designer. And so we kind of were able to bring those skills into this sort of like parody, satirical, little bite-sized commercial thing. And
Yeah.
I think we were also thinking of things like, honestly, like Paul Verhoeven in a weird way, where it's like, how does the like,
it's like it's got the Starship Trooper vibe.
right, like how he uses those things to like amplify the theme of the movie in a way that you couldn't do in the narrative. So the commercial about like the earth energy, or Kenzie like introducing that character before we see her, so you know what she's about without us having to do it in the exposition of the film itself. It was like a nice, like almost cheat code to be like, here you go, you get it in 30 seconds, and then we're back to the action.
It's so smart though, and it works so well with that the format. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Alex.
Oh, no, you didn't interrupt. Sorry. I was just saying, I think we are firm believers that horror can't just be this dreary, like beat you over the head kind of thing. I think the best horror movies are the ones that, you know, make you laugh as much as they make you scream. And I think like there's films that people don't even think about. I think Hereditary has some moments that are absolutely hilarious. And like, and you know, it has to be, because you have to sustain, you have to keep people wanting to stick around and not just feel like they're getting dumped on. And, you know, also selfishly, like Matt said, we're marketers. Our favorite thing to do all day is imagine like parody ads and things that we could be doing instead of these like very genuine, super corny ads. And, you know, also YouTube ads are just like the best. It's so funny trying to think about what this algorithm is trying to convince you that you need in your life. I always learn a little bit more about myself with every ad. So hopefully the audience feels like they did too.
It's funny you brought up Hereditary. I actually have been calling this found footage Hereditary to some people in terms of the matriarchal kind of lineage and everything with that. So I don't know how you'll take that compliment, but that's how I have been selling it to people.
No, that's a huge compliment. That's like one of the best horror movies of the last 20 years. And it was definitely a big influence on us, not necessarily because of the matriarchal part of it, but the familial part of it.
Yeah.
And how we, you know, how your one generation is affected by the one before it and the one before that. And like how that trauma that's not outward in the movie necessarily is there in sneaky ways, because it's there in our lives in sneaky ways. Sometimes it doesn't always have to hit you over the head. It can be like something that's been prodding you your whole life. And it's like, oh, like, shut up, mom. Like, I get it. And that's like what we're, you know, trying to get at.
Yeah, and I think you tapped into that with the idea, like the millennial ennui. Like, I think that is such a major part of it. You know, I think even though we're sort of the guinea pig generation for social media and Facebook and all this other shit, you know, it's like we are also the first generation to really like be given the space to be introspective and seek out answers in ourselves and seek out answers in our generational trauma. And you can see that Anya is trying to do that. But at every level, there's some form of gatekeeping, whether it's her mom not telling her about her grandma not telling her about the fact that all this shit is like witchcraft. You know, it's like she's really trying to do the work, I think, in a genuine way. And you know, the past and her family legacy isn't willing to meet her halfway. So I think that, and I think that's kind of where the Hereditary parallel lies. But
yeah,
compliment, and we'll take it.
And then just my last question for the two of you. It's kind of a silly one, but I want to hear about the weirdest YouTube video that you've ever stumbled upon. What is the weirdest one? Can I start with Alex?
Oh my God. Wow.
If you can remember.
Yeah. Yeah. There is this video. My friends and I stumbled upon it one night, and it was like this 12-minute video of this guy who was like hired out to like hunt groundhogs in people's backyards. And he did these like cinematic things of him going around with like a pellet gun, and it's just him like shooting a bunch of groundhogs. This like grown man just like killing groundhogs. And it's like, but he shoots it like he's like the American sniper. And it just like blew my mind. I was like, this says so much about America, men who have guns, groundhogs.
Yeah, crap.
It was like one of those
Wow.
that shit insane things. And then like at the very end of the video, he has like this crosshair cam, and he did a Matrix style graphic overlay of this groundhog who like dodges one of his bullets. That was the way it ended. And I remember just feeling my soul leave my body.
All right, so Matt, you have to top that.
I mean,
whatever that is. I hope that guy's doing okay.
He's not.
He's not.
I can't.
Okay.
So instead, I will just say it's the thing that has stuck out to me isn't necessarily a specific video, but it has been watching that like website be born, basically, and how it
Fair.
has changed, and reflecting on. I was just actually talking to some friends of mine about that video Unforgivable, which is like from 2006. And it's just this guy like doing a performance as some like mean boyfriend. And it's funny, but it's also super weird. And that was what YouTube videos were. And then it became, the like Charlie Bit My Fingers of the world. And now it's this like massive global moneymaker like platform. And the fact that like there's shit like Alex just said of like a dude like running around shooting groundhogs that like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, that would have just been like a lot darker and weirder. It would have just been like some guy's camera as he's like walking around doing it. But now it's edited. There's graphics. There's
He's sponsored
probably with ads. Like
he has a sponsor.
Yeah, like that is so bizarre to me to like look at the whole platform and be like, how has it changed and where is it going to go? Like, is it at the zenith, or is there more like weird developments to come?
It is such a weird place, but
yeah.
Wow. Well, and just to throw in mine, and it has now poisoned my algorithm. I watch videos of the guy called the Hoof Doctor in Scotland, who shaves cow hooves and films them, and it's like pimple popping videos, but it's cow hooves full of pus. It's disgusting, and yet I watch them with my husband at night. So I don't know what that says about me, the internet, everything, but yeah, you can find it out there.
I think our algorithms are about to intersect.
I think they are. I can't wait to go onto my YouTube and just see like groundhog stuff coming up, and I cannot wait for that to happen. I'll let you know if it's.
You watch the animal chiropractor, the guy who likes to adjust horses?
No, I have to. Okay, we're about to go on.
How do you have time to watch this?
I don't. I just do it anyway.
Who needs to sleep when you can be watching weird YouTube videos?
I'm busy watching Backrooms videos, so it's like
okay. See, you're not you are in a similar spot, just very different kinds of videos. So you're not watching animals get worked on by weird Scottish men.
I feel like that'll end up in a back room at some point.
It will. It definitely will.
Animal chiropractic.
Well, Alex and Matt, thank you so much for chatting with me about Mind Body Spirit, and then also like every weird YouTube video out there. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. This has been really awesome.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.